if an investor has a dispute with a developer, there's a decision-making process that's involved in deciding as to whether it makes sense to file legal action, and if so, what type of legal action. The number one test in this decision-making process should be to analyze the amount of money that is involved, which is different from the percentage of money that has been paid for a particular development. In other words, if an investor invested 50% of a particular contract, or has already paid 50% of a particular contract, and that 50% only represents 100,000 dirhams, it may not be economically or financially viable to pursue legal action in court because it is expensive. So therefore, the first test is how much money is invested and whether it makes sense financially to pursue legal action. The second test is who is the developer. This is important because there have been a number of developers in the UAE who have since absconded, and therefore, irrespective of how strong a case could be and how much money even is invested, it may just not be feasible to fight because there isn't anyone really to hold accountable. The third test is the legal forum in which the parties or investor or developer can address their dispute. And there are about 3 forums in the UAE. One is the UAE courts. It could be Dubai courts, could be Abu Dhabi courts. 2 is the arbitration center. And there is one in Dubai International Arbitration Center. There's one in Abu Dhabi. That's the arbitration forum. The third option is the DIFC court. So that's the forum prong of the decision-making test. The fifth one is whether the investor has any more money to spend or to pay, has more money and is willing to pay more money in order to try to rescue or salvage his or her investment. What this means is that in most cases, developers do not have the funds to refund to investors, and therefore it is necessary to negotiate alternative arrangements, which most of the time involve additional payments. And if investors are not in a position to pay, that alternative may not be available to them. And finally, the last prong in the decision process is just the terms of the contract. Legally speaking, there are always a lot of contracts can be invalidated on many different grounds. So that's not as important in the decision-making process. But there are some terms that are that would govern the parties' arrangement or adjudication of their dispute, and therefore also it is important to understand what specific provisions in the contract may be of advantage and which ones may be of a disadvantage. So that's the decision-making process.